Hi, I'm Angie Boss, Associate Professor of Political Science at the College of Worcester, and I'm here to talk with you today about an article I published recently in Political Psychology. My collaborator was Monica Schneider at Miami University. The paper is called Measuring Stereotypes of Female Politicians. What I want to do today is just tell you a little bit about what we were testing and what we found. And so the first thing is really kind of putting this in the context of prior research on stereotyping. So one of the main theories of understanding stereotypes of female politicians has been the trait approach. Okay? And the trait approach has been used to help us understand why or where citizens' stereotypes of male and female politicians come from. So female politicians are stereotyped, for example, to be capable at handling issues like childcare, whereas their male counterparts are stereotyped as being capable to handle more masculine issues like defense. So the trait approach suggests that this comes from the idea that female politicians are stereotyped similarly to women who are seen as communal and empathetic, and that helps us to explain why female politicians would be perceived as capable to handle issues like childcare. So a lot of research has created measures based on this assumption, and we kind of wanted to critique that assumption and think a little bit more about whether female politicians are really seen similarly to women. So what we did was created our hypothesis, which was basically that we didn't really think that female politicians would have a lot of overlap with women in terms of stereotype content, because some of the stereotypes of women, that they're kind, intuitive, warm, some of those things might not kind of jive with some of the stereotypes you might have of female politicians in a leadership role as being maybe strong leaders. And so what we did was we drew from a psychological theory of subtyping, in which basically we argued that female politicians won't be seen similarly to women, but rather they're a subtype of that group. And that is basically the idea that when you come into contact with someone who doesn't quite fit a stereotype, you might create a new stereotypic category to kind of put that new person in. They didn't quite fit with the group women, and so we create a new kind of stereotype category for female politicians. And so we wanted to test that. We also wanted to test whether female politicians were seen similarly to female professionals. That's another documented subtype in the psychological literature. What's interesting about female professionals is that some of their stereotype content includes some traits like deceitful, devious, selfish, or what we might call negative female leader traits. And so overall, we kind of thought that female politicians might have some problems because they might be seen as high on those kind of negative female leader traits, but they might not also get the benefit of being seen similarly to women. So we tested this in an experimental study, and we did indeed find evidence for our hypotheses. So generally, female politicians were seen to have those kind of negative leader traits like female professionals, and they also weren't seen as having any overlap with those kind of positive stereotype traits for women like sympathy, sensitivity, and those kinds of things. And so it really creates a potential problem for female politicians because they're not really gaining on the strengths that women are seen to have, like compassion, which could have a lot of political relevance, but they're also kind of losing when it comes to traits like strong leader. We also compared female politicians to the general group politician, and they were seen as lower on leadership and competency compared to politicians, which is problematic because voters see those as important traits for successful politicians. And so, in general, some potentially negative results for female politicians, but we are hopeful that our work will help future researchers create better measures of stereotypes, which will help us to do better by way of connecting stereotypes with the decisions that voters make.